Hello and welcome. Hope you're having a fantastic day. My name's Campbell. This is Autodidactic Channel. And of course, autodidactic means to be self-educated, and we all need to be self-educated because if we're not, the only choice we have left is to believe what other people tell us. And so today, what we're going to get into is what have people told us, history. We're going to have a look at a book. It's in a foreign language that I can't read, so we're just going to go through the pictures. And it is China in 1653. So let's jump into it. Okay, so here we are on Gallica, and this is the voyages containing a history of the Dorfman Keljik and the present standards, government policy, military power, from Egypt of antiquity, hidden characters, ordinances, disciplines, and religions. Okay, and here we are on the title page, Sandy's Voyage. Can't read much of this. This is Dutch, obviously. If anyone out there can decide, translate that for me, please do. Leave it in the comments. But as we can see down here, we've got, it looks like Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. And up here, the normal Phoenician sort of looking people, Phoenician, Frisian maybe, people from the north, the boat people. And of course, he's got some kind of ball, right? The balls everywhere. He's got it obviously standing on the books. Interesting, right? Standing over history, maybe. Who knows? And a couple more pictures there. Apis Anders. I don't know, it looks a bit like an alpaca, but I don't think it is. All right, so that is the title page. Okay, and now we come to Jerusalem. So we've got Jerusalem here and a map of Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem is still a walled city, and as we can see here, it's a walled city and it has a citadel. This is a square one, but this is a feature we see in all these old world star cities. But I mean, look at where it is. Look at this mud flow. Look, we've got a tunnel down here, entrance going under the city, maybe more, but just look at this mud flow, right? We've got a few buildings out in the, the hills, the landscapes, but check out this. Look at this. This is like a, whatever, right? A temple, a city, something that's completely buried and almost turned into a hill. And we see these everywhere. There's more of like a buried wall here, more buried here. Up here, this is half buried with the tower just sort of half sticking out, and just the tops of these buildings. And this is half buried too. Not many trees, just a couple. And the whole area just looks mud flowed, doesn't it? In 1653 in Jerusalem. And this is the temple of Het. I'm not sure what that is. I'm guessing we're still in Jerusalem. Temple offerings. Of course, we've got a checkered floor here, another checkered floor. Just old world stuff. This is, again, this kind of, what we're calling Phoenician-y kind of style art. Just, the stuff we see everywhere. But this looks broken at this point, doesn't it? So probably old. Now this is the floor plan of the temple of Christ, Christ. I'm not sure what graph is, but here we go, right? Now this is, again, we see these floor plans everywhere. They're always drawn kind of the same way, right? I'm not sure why that's blurred out. There we go. Of course, this Freemasonry, but just looking at this, I mean, this here, this looks like tech. This looks like a magnetron. If all these were magnets, you know, different polarities. We've even got, look at this, like a horseshoe magnet thing. They seem to be connected up in, you know, circuits here and here. So this, you know, these things are very machine-like the way they're designed. And of course, you know, the geometry has a lot to do with it. The geometry, you know, gives off a field. And so these buildings, depending on the way they're designed and what geometry they incorporate, they give off different fields, different frequencies, which is, of course, why our houses today are not very good for us, because they're just square and full of right angles. Okay, and here we have Bethlehem. And so this is what they were seeing in 1653. This is Bethlehem. And as you can see, just completely devastated, right, by some kind of mud, some kind of, you know, flood, flow, and just coming in, and like you can see, just covering up everything with this mud, half-built, buried buildings. You know, it looks like this was a walled citadel or something with a dome. Got a wall here. You know, this has had its roof taken off. This is half broken, no roof. You know, and look at this again. This is like one of those hills, but it's kind of only half buried, right? But this is what we see all over the place. 1650s, right? No trees, a couple here on the hill, but like it's just all been inundated, right? Okay, so now we are, oh, Judea. Okay, so we're cruising around all these kind of, you know, places we hear about in the Bible, right? Judea's not looking too big, not looking too well either. Same thing, completely covered in mud. You can see we've got trees out here in the valley, but nowhere else. You can kind of, is that a river? Yeah, okay, so this looks like a river. But this place, apart from, you know, half destroyed, right? Covered in mud, but again, we have these, you know, and this is a good one because it looks like a tunnel, right? But it's probably just a doorway of a covered building. Same as this, same as this. Is that a bell? I don't know, but Judea, right? So this whole region got inundated. Maybe that's why it's a desert today, because, you know, before this, it wasn't. The Middle East, Africa, it was all green, just, you know, sort of 500 years ago, not 10,000 like they want us to believe. This is De Bergen. Oh, yeah, Judea still, Judea. And the same picture, right? Completely just inundated. This is half buried. Got, is that a wall? Yeah, so I think this is, I see that, a tunnel, water coming out into the river. And these look like walls. So this may be what used to be the man making out, but I mean, it's completely just, this whole landscape, right? It's just destroyed. Gayheon, is that how I say it? Or Sion? Maybe this is Sion, I'm not sure. Oh, Jerusalem, there we go. Spelled with an I this time. Again, walled city, but look what's outside the walls, just devastation. Look at this, half buried. It's going to be a cave or a mine soon. Another one here. A few trees survived, or maybe they've been replanted. Up on the top, you know, there's still stuff sticking out, but everything else seems to be buried. And the walled city seems to have survived pretty well. And it's an interesting question, were the walls to keep mud out? I mean, look at this. So this is Akeldama, is that Akeldama? Akeldama. Isn't it interesting how they spell it differently there to there? But the same picture. Devastation, mud flood, no trees really. You know, towers just sticking out randomly out of the ground. And you sort of notice on all these pictures, you know, most of the buildings are up on the high ground, right? When you get down low, there's nothing, but is it because they're all buried, right, under mud? Because that's what we see today. And we know that, you know, all the pyramids were buried in South America. They had uncovered all them. They're finding cities that are buried. You know, and this is showing us the same thing that we're seeing, you know, in our physical reality. Okay, so this is Sakara, Het van Graf Sakara, sorry, Het Graf van Egypt, right? Sakara. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be the Nile. Sort of dries up there, but look at this, right? Very, this is very reminiscent of Petra, right? These buildings that go straight into the cliffs. And you can imagine if, you know, because look at the mud flow here again, hardly any trees, you know, buried walls sticking out of the ground, like just the top of a castle tower, top of a building, everything else covered. So you can imagine if this mud flowed and like covered, so you could just literally just see these openings. That's Petra, right? Same thing all over the place. So, you know, there's definitely some kind of, you know, whatever, right? Mud flood, mud flow, inundation, devastation. This is it Jerusalem? Albion's pillar. It's, you know, it says Jerusalem. I'm not sure if that's Jerusalem or what's going on, but same story. Walled cities to keep out the mud, maybe, and then just all this mud flow. And look down here. This doorway is going into nothing. And are these? I'm not sure if these are rocks around here, around the trees, or if they kind of look like rocks, right? So I mean, were they put there to protect their food source, maybe their orchards? Don't know. But I mean, look, again, your half buried stuff just everywhere. And yes, this is a drawing, but this is a drawing that someone's drawn based on what they've seen, because this is a proper book. And back in the day, books, and you know, this was the only way to convey information. And guess who wanted the information? The kings, the queens, the princes, you know, the merchants, the people, you know, who could use it to make money and get power, basically. So, you know, a lot of people say, well, it's just a drawing, it's probably fake. Well, if you submitted fake drawings back in the, you know, in the 1650s, they would take your head off. Another citadel, Christ, Christie Betty, just a basic drawing, you know, same basic design we see everywhere. Got the basically it's a cross, right? This one's a bit longer. And this looks like, maybe this is when they're digging it out, because look, you know, they're showing pictures of these sunken, half-buried buildings. Look at this little bit just sticking out. And is this inside it? You know, is this sort of like, so they're going around mapping what they're finding, right? They're not, these aren't architectural drawings. That they're showing us what they found, but you know, this looks like it's literally showing us that they found it half buried. This was underground, and this is the basic layout. This is Betania. Is that Bethlehem? Bethania, Bethphage? Same story. Mud flow, no trees. Here's the River Van Jordan, the Jordan River. This place looks like it's been, you know, destroyed. This is all just half buried, all these buildings. These are half buried up on the hill. And even at the very top, they look half buried, but look at this, because it's just the very top of another tower. So it's the same stuff everywhere. Is that a hole? Don't know. But it's just, you know, it's just showing us there was definitely a catastrophe before 1653 sometime. Den Olive Barrow, I'm not sure. That's just the same thing, right? I mean, okay, so these are roads. Okay, so they've cleared the roads, they're not rivers, but you know, half buried stuff everywhere. This is the river down here by the looks of it. This is looking a bit shabby, and look at this hill, just half buried stuff all the way up. This Jerusalem again. So again, it's just sort of, you know, describing what they're finding, right? This looks like it's broken. And look, they're saying, look, this one's good. We can use that for something. The Cambell Purvis. I'll leave the link for this book in the description below as well, so you can go through it. If you happen to be Dutch, you know. It's a big book, but feel free to do a reading, right? Do a translation, or at least on the interesting bits. Again, so I'm not sure what that means. Jerusalem, Terebinth, Lida, LIDAR. We could use a LIDAR around here, that's for sure. I mean, look at this place. This is just completely devastated, but just bits popping out everywhere. You know, and we see this in our cities with, you know, buried buildings, mud-flooded windows. We've got the viaducts, you know, all these things, walled cities everywhere. We've got the remnants of walls, you know, everything's buried, right? Like in geology, they tell us, no, it's all formed because of wear and erosion, right? Everything's worn away with the wind and the rain and the water and all this kind of stuff. Well, then why is everything under the ground? Like literally 10, 15 foot and more. All right, that story doesn't make sense. Okay, now it looks like we're in, oh no, I was thinking Germany, St. Germain's maybe. Look at this, right? It's a star fort, right? It's all Star City. You know, we've got the big, everything, the usual suspects, you know, the castles, the turrets. I doubt there's a few domes in there. Oh, look at this up on the hill, massive big castle, citadel. Again, you know, it looks pretty mud flowy, not much vegetation and some buildings sticking out the top here. This may have been safe because it was a walled city. I'm not sure what's happening with this boat. They're either at war. Oh yeah, maybe he just got shot by this cannon. Who knows? And then out the front here, look what we got, wooden shacks. Right, again, this is the level of tech that they could build. This is just a wooden shack. Got half a buried brick wall here. Is this guy standing up on his horse, just trying to be cool, I think? Is he? Maybe he's just really tall. No, he's not. Okay, he's sitting down. Okay. He's very tall. You know, these are the Three Musketeers, I think. But yeah, look at that wooden. This is what they can build, right? These little wooden huts. They're half under the ground. We've got trees up here and a brick wall under the ground. Right, so this is the same place, different view. So these guys are out doing a bit of fishing. I mean, just the way it's drawn, you know, it looks like, you know, flow, right? Some kind of mud flow. Again, half-buried buildings over here. And this thing, right? It's just sort of what's going on here. What's dort Gecken? Oh, okay. There's a skeleton with an arrow. So there's something bad about this place. Don't go in there. You guys don't go in. And I guess now they're bringing in their kings and queens, carrying them round like complete slaves. Don't do that. Wow, look at these roofs, houses, buildings buried up to the roof. Bit of water left here. And again, it looks like these guys have just come in and they're mapping it. They're drawing out, they're seeing basically what they can pilfer. Right? What can they get? What can they steal from here? And it looks like there's some fires going on. They may have just torched the place. Maybe there was disease. Maybe that's what that skeleton was. And they were burning lots. We know they love to burn things. And these guys are stabbing something. Okay, this is Avernus is the title. And not sure, temple, Apollo's temple. This guy's, oh, he's getting an old-fashioned selfie. Draw me so I can post this in the book of faces. Okay, master. These guys are playing chasey. I tagged you. Oh no, don't, you're going to get me. Buried buildings, half buried, you know, buildings. Here, this looks completely like destroyed. Again, destroyed, half buried. And up here as well on the hill, and that looks destroyed as well. This place looks like it got hit fairly hard. And yeah, old-fashioned selfie. Okay, so this is, I'm not sure if this is the title, Tritule Bay. castles on mountaintops. We see it everywhere. And look at the bottom here. 2 doors going into the mountain. Oh my gosh, look at this. Archways. That could be one there too, but just completely buried, right? The water level obviously has risen. This as well, buried old tower with trees growing on the top of it. So how long has this been sitting like this? This half buried, looks like an old Capitol building. And another few really big buildings, but half buried. So, yeah, look at this, right? Big trees. You know, so this is the thing. When did this catastrophe happen? I mean, if you were to go by the dates, this is 1650s, and most of these books that we find that are sort of showing, you know, people going around exploring, you know, different cities and parts of the world, they're all around that, you know, they're all 1600s, early 1700s. So it looks like, you know, the catastrophe, early 1600s, 1500s, maybe, you know, 50 or 100 years later, they start going out and remapping everything, rediscovering and getting their Freemasonry, right? Taking over everything that they find and claiming it as theirs, and then trying to convince us that they built it, when clearly all they did was just dig these buildings and cities out of the mud, at least half out. Most of it's still buried, right? So there we go. That is the last picture. So just a bit of a look at the mud flood, you know, post-catastrophe in the Middle East, around Jerusalem area. And, you know, it's the same as we see everywhere, and it's the same as we see in our cities today. So, you know, this stuff, this inundation and catastrophe, you know, it wasn't as far back in history as they want us to believe. We're talking probably 500 years or so, maybe 6. Catastrophe came, a few hundred years, getting out there, cleaning it all up, you know, taking power back, and then they just start to reintroduce the tech they want, reintroduce the population, and before you know it, we all forgot and we all work slaves for a couple of 100 years. So let's not do that again. Time to wake up, see what they're doing. It's all a scam. Time to get on with building the new earth that we want to inhabit. So thank you for spending some time with me. Please give me a like and a subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, leave me a comment, all that kind of stuff, and share this content around as well. Let people know that his story is not our story. It's just a story made up by the winners. All right, have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you on the next upload. Bye for now.
Remember, in the end, nobody wins unless everybody wins. Come on!